Hi. Hi, everyone. Hi, DeVon. Thank you for being here for me to speak or listen to me speak. It's an honor to actually be here. I'm very, very, very nervous. So I'm sorry if I speak fast because I'm nervous. But thank you to the Agape Latte team. I'm excited that you all brought this here, and I'm excited that I am able to be here to speak. So like I said, I'm very nervous because I've never had to speak from this side of myself. I've spoken from the diversity side, the professional side, the personal side, but I've never actually spoke from the spiritual side. So that's why I'm nervous. So, I'm done. So anybody know what the title of this is? 1, 2, 3, jump. Thank you for the lovely flyers. They're awesome. Big head and white hands. No, I'm kidding. They were dark hands. Diego said they were dark hands. It was just on this side. No, it was good. It was awesome. I'm talking about faith. Do I have to use this? You all can't hear me back there? No? Okay. All right, I'll use it. I'm talking about faith and this idea of just how faith kind of led me to what my purpose, or one of my purposes, I guess, in life. So 1, 2, 3, jump. This idea of just jumping into it, not thinking and just jumping, stepping on something that you think is not there. Anybody? We have any Indiana Jones fans in this room? So I don't know if you saw Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade, but there was a portion of at the very end he had to go through 3 kind of challenges or obstacles, and the last obstacle was a leap of faith, and he literally had to close his eyes and do this and step out, and he stepped on something he really couldn't see. So just get that visual. We're coming from that context. And I kind of wrote it down. Look at that, organized. So when we talk about faith, I guess another context is idea. So Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1 says, faith is the substance or the phenomenon or the materials. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So when I'm talking about faith, I want you to come from that context, this idea that I don't know what's out there, but something is there. There were 3 moments of faith that kind of shaped and kind of made me who I am. One of them is, or 2 of them actually, happened here at Villanova. So I started in '96, and back then I think it's still this way. You're only guaranteed 3 years of housing, and so I was really, really nervous after my junior year. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I don't have enough money to live, get an apartment. I'm not going back home. I refused to live with my parents and my little cousin who was there at the time. I thought I was a grown man, so I called up Marie Schrouder, who works in residence life now. I forget her position, but I called her up and I said, Marie, and I think, before that, I kind of did a lot of stuff in Villanova. I was very busy. Some folks have called me Mr. Villanova because I was in everything. I was in everyone's office trying to be as busy as possible on every kind of organization. So I kind of built relationships going from office to office. Hey, knew everyone by name, just because I'm very interpersonal. So Marie Schrouder was one of those folks, and I just called her up and I said, listen, I would love to live on campus my senior year, and I don't know how that's going to happen. I'm not an RA. My GPA was horrible, so I didn't know if grades had anything to do with it. So I would just like to live on campus, and so that was that. And so then I just said, all right. And so after that, maybe like a day after that, I said, all right, God, I need you to give me some housing on campus because I do not want to go home. I just don't, because I'm getting older. I want to be a man and all that good stuff. And then, lo and behold, I got a letter saying that you've been awarded housing on campus, and I was excited. I lived in St. Mary's, the basement of St. Mary's. It was awesome because I was still in the West Campus with the apartments and stuff. So it was great, and I had a good senior year. The next part of my faith, I used faith to get into grad school. So I did horrible. I just said that I did horrible my freshman year. My grades were a B I think 2 B's, a D, a C, and an F. So I think my GPA was like a 1.2. Got a letter saying that you are on academic probation. I'm like, okay, cool, it's my freshman year, let me get used to it. Nope. My sophomore year, I WX'd the class. I got a B, a C, and I believe 2 D minuses. And I think my GPA was even lower than that, maybe like the first semester was 1.3 and the second semester was 1.2. So they said, yeah, you're not good here, so you need to leave. So they were going to kick me off of campus. I was like, oh my God. So I kind of used faith in the sense of asking them, no, it was my freshman year, blah, blah, blah. So they ended up, I ended up staying. And so I played catch up my entire career at Villanova. And I think my last semester was my best semester. I think it was a 3.0. So I ended up graduating with a 2.3 GPA. And if I don't know if it's the same, but you need a 3.0 to get into grad school. So you heard that I got my master's here. And so I just said, God, I got an internship in the athletic department, and I said, what do I want to do? I like being a big brother. I like being a counselor. I like kind of being in kind of the know of young people, and I want to kind of help them, kind of clear more obstacles than I did growing up. I think I want to do counseling. So I was sitting at my desk, and I said, I'm going to go to grad school. So I applied, and I said, it said you needed a 3.0. So when I saw that, I just immediately said, I can't get in because I have a 2.3. So I prayed about it, and I literally asked God. I said, God, I don't have a 2.3, but I don't have a 3.0, but I need you to provide this opportunity for me. So then I applied for it, and then I also applied for a grad assistantship. If you don't know about grad assistantships, if you're a GA, they pay for school and they give you money. So go out for that if you find some. So I applied for that, and they said, well, you'll get this if you get into grad school. I'm like this, well, there goes my opportunity for grad school, because how am I going to pay for it? Remember, I couldn't afford to live on campus or an apartment, so how am I going to pay for grad school? So again, I just prayed on it, and I said, God, I really want to get my master's degree. I really want to further my education, so can you just provide this for me? And I just didn't worry about it. I just put it aside, and I didn't worry about it. And so I got a letter saying you've been, and I visited some of the folks that I made relationships with. Helen Lafferty was one of them. She was a mentor of mine. Dr. Nance was a mentor of mine. There was some other folks that were there who aren't here anymore. Edward Collymore, he was a mentor of mine. So, they wrote me recommendations, and folks understood my character. So I got those recommendations, and I got into grad school. So it was that measure of faith that I used, I guess, to get into grad school. So, and again, I just applied, and I just forgot all about it. I just acted like, it was just going to happen. So that was the first two that happened to school. The second is leaving my first job. So after I graduated grad school, I got a job in teaching. I taught kindergarten to 8th grade, K-8, character education at Discovery Charter School in Philadelphia. So it was cool. I did that for 5 years. And I realized that there's no way up for me. It was just a peak. I didn't know whether to get my certification in counseling or whether to get my certification in teaching, because I was teaching at the time. So I was like, okay, so I don't know what I'm going to do. But I didn't want to stay at Discovery because I'm a progressive person, and so there wasn't a place for me to go to. And so in order for me to stay there and continue to work, I had to sign a contract. And wisdom says, from my parents, don't quit a job unless you have a job already. And so I didn't have a job. So I just said, I'm not going to come back. There was just this feeling in me that said, you know what, I don't see a way for me to grow and go somewhere. Not that I wanted to be like a CEO or president or whatever, whatever that was. I just wanted to, it was 5 years. So I was like, okay, I need to do something challenging. I need to do some different stuff. I need to kind of expand and learn and develop. And so I just didn't sign my contract, which meant I didn't have a job lined up. And so, yeah, I just was chilling after that. And again, I prayed and I used faith. When I say faith, I mean like, you know what, God, I'm just going to trust you to get me a job. I didn't have any responsibilities like a car and all that stuff, or kids like I have now, or a wife. So I was kind of on my own, so I actually could do that. But I just used that faith. And so what I did was I called up some relationships here. I didn't know Father Peter was the president of the university, because I just wasn't paying attention, I guess. I called him up because I was in one of his plays when he was a chairperson here. So I called him up and I said, hey, Father Peter, how are you? Just want to know if there was any opportunities here at Villanova. I'm looking to expand. I'm looking to move and, come back to Villanova and do some stuff and help out and assist, give back to, the folks that have helped me all these years. And he said, I don't know if there's anything, but, I can kind of point you to someone. So at the time, the director of student development was Tom Mogan. And maybe like after I was talking to Father Peter, I again prayed and said, all right, God, I just need you to step into this. I'm going to have faith. I'm going to believe you that you can provide for me. And I got a call from Tom Mogan, and he said, hey, there's a position opening up. So I would love for you to, because I knew Tom Mogan as well. I'd love for you to apply for it. And lo and behold, I'm here. Aren't you excited? So I'm here, and I've been here 8 years. So that is the third piece of faith. And the last piece of faith that has been kind of influential, this idea of faith, is now. So I am, I guess, newly married. I'm going to celebrate my second anniversary in May of May 7th. Thank you. And I am the father of 2 boys, one 16 months and one who just turned 7, April 3rd. So I'm excited about that. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And when I say I don't know what I'm doing, I really mean that. I don't know what my next step is when it comes to being married. And I know probably some of your families or some folks say you need to have this prepared and you have this in line and this in line. I think and this is my opinion, I think in marriage and in being in parenthood, the only way for you to know how to do it is to just do it. You can have all your ducks in a row, but you're not going to really be prepared for marriage until you actually step in and get married. Because as soon as you say, I do, that's when life begins. You can have your house and you can have your job and you can have all those things, but as soon as you get married, that's when the challenges come and you don't really know what's going to happen. So I rely on God each day because I don't know how to be a father. I just know that all things work together, which is another scripture I'm going to get into. I don't know. I have an idea, but I'm afraid I'm going to make a mistake because I've never been a father before. I've been a father to a 16-month-old before, but I've never been a father to a 7-year-old. So when I think about those things, I'm like, all right, God, I don't know what I'm doing. So I constantly have to rely on him to help me. I have to rely on God to help me direct these 2 young boys that are kind of leading their own life. And unfortunately, those 2 young males are African American. And we know that in this society, African American males, they're not kind of looked positive. The what is the word I'm looking for? The stigma or the stereotype is kind of negative when it comes to African American males. So I have to be careful because I have to raise them as the world is and not how I want the world to be. So I have to teach them specific things. Not teaching them to hate things, but I have to say, hey, you need to be careful with this. Like I have to tell my 7-year-old, listen, you got to watch this. And, I have to teach him discretion because he doesn't know discretion. So I have to constantly ask God for help in direction or ask him for direction to be a husband and learn how to do this and what do I need to do to say this. And, I don't know because I don't know what I'm doing. Not that I'm not confident, but I want to do it. So I want to do it right. So I have to constantly have faith that he's going to direct my path the way, I guess, the scriptures say in a way. So that's the second piece. The third piece of this is, it says, so what is faith is what I talked about. Then I have my 3 moments of faith. Everybody following me so far? Okay. And the third is trusting God to jump. And this is, I believe, where I found my purpose. And this idea is, again, is just something to kind of help you and how I used faith to find out where my purpose what my purpose is or part of my purpose in life. So Mark Twain says the 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why you were born. And I honestly believe that one of the reasons why I am here on earth is to provide, I know some of you have heard this before, but this is a purpose, I know it, is to provide an alternate or opposing narrative to whatever the dominant narrative is. Whatever society tells you or whatever society is, it is my job to help you understand that there are other narratives, there are other perspectives out there for you to look at. And it's not just what society says. Like society says, go to college, get a good job, or get an education so you can make money. Well, what if you want to be a dancer? What if that's your passion? What if you want to, be a teacher, if you will? Because teachers in the Philly school system, they're not making that much. What if you want to do something in service? You don't make a lot of money, but service is your passion. Something like counseling or social work or teaching, something like that. They don't make buku money, but they make a living. So that's what society tells you. Society tells you all types of things. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's another narrative than what the dominant narrative tells you. And I think that's one of my purposes. And I found that purpose here on campus. Now, where does faith come in? Because I didn't come here to say, I use faith to get here to Villanova. And I told you, I believe God to get this job. I use my faith. So while I was here, I just did things that I had interest in. And I kind of put myself in positions, hey, I want to do this. I talked to Tom, who was the supervisor at the time. Hey, can we do this and do it this way? And he full support. Sure, you could do that. I talked to JJ, who's the director of student involvement now. Hey, can we do this? Sure, fully supportive. Both of them were fully supportive of what I wanted to do. And through that, I was allowed to be fourth hour teach instructors for IGR and leadership learning communities and all the other classes. And so with that, I understood that, I really like kind of letting people know that there's another way of thinking. There's another way of looking at how the earth is or how the world is. There's just another way. So don't just rely on your own. Maybe learn from other people's perspective. So there's a scripture that I use. It's like I said, it was Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And the scripture says, all things work together for the good of those that love God and are called according to his purpose. I am a very nonchalant person. Not that I don't care, but I'm like, okay, sure. So I grew up without a car, grew up taking a bus. I have a car now. If I were to lose my car right now, I wouldn't be like this, oh my God, what am I gonna do with my life? I can't go to work, I can't pick up my son, I can't do this. Because I believe that all things work together. I'm like this, okay, I'll just get on the bus. Like it's not that big of a deal. But that takes faith to do. And I kind of got to that point because of how I use faith for God to provide. I don't know if I articulated that correctly. So that faith that I carry is that, God will just provide for me. I'm not going to worry about it. God is going to provide for me. I have faith that he's going to do that. There is, and I kind of put myself in positions to, believe that stuff. The way I think, the scripture, it says, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. And I say these scriptures because I kind of use them as kind of things for me to think and meditate on. Because whenever I get because I am human, and whenever I start wavering or, my faith is like, I don't know about this, I can think of these things. Okay, so if I think this way, that's how I'm going to behave. I don't want to kind of waver when it comes to that faith. So what am I saying to you all? I'm saying don't worry about it. Some of you are seniors and ready to go out in the world, leave the kind of Villanova bubble and be in the workplace. Some of you don't know what your major is now. Some of you don't have a job. I'm here to tell you that don't worry about it. I use faith to get me to where I am. And I'm not just saying it has to be God, you have to have faith. I choose it to be God. You can have faith in other things. I choose it. This is how my spirituality works. I'm not forcing you to say, believe God and believe the scriptures and all the other good stuff. What I'm doing is giving you an alternate or opposing narrative to what the dominant narrative tells you. That alternate or opposing narrative is my own narrative. So again, I'm not telling you to believe. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying, where's another option? Try this, and maybe that'll work. If that doesn't work, try something else. So what I'm saying to you all is this idea of faith, having faith in yourself, having faith in what you've taught and what you've learned, having faith on the relationships that you have, having faith on your heart, like the scripture says, as a man thinketh, so is he in his heart. You know, you all have great hearts. And in you is what you want to do. In you is that passion. I found my passion, I found my purpose here on campus, doing lots of things, lots of different things. And you all have a great opportunity with all the things happening on campus, from breakdance club to SGA, with whatever it is, with whatever major, from engineering to, I don't know, whatever the opposite of engineering is. But you have so many opportunities to learn and be who you are. It's just a matter of just going for it and not really worrying about having your ducks in a row, dotting your I's, crossing your T's, curling your J's, and all that type stuff. Like, I'm here to say don't stress over it, because it'll work out. If you rely on what you've learned, if you rely on the relationships you have, then it will work out for you. All things will work out if you just believe that, if you have faith. Again, faith is the substance of things hoped for. So just like Indiana Jones, like I said at the beginning, he just had to believe. So he's walking, he got through the tunnel part, and he stepped up and he looked out, and it looked as if there was nothing there. It looked as if when he looked down, it looked like he was going to fall. But I forget what the phrase was. It said something about, like, have faith. So I said, okay. So he closed his eyes and he put his leg up and he just stepped out. And he was very surprised that there was a platform there. And I don't know if you realized, or if you saw the movie, but I guess how the camera was, how it looked, it was camouflaged with the wall. So if you look to the side, you can see it. But if you look straight on, you couldn't see it. But that's just how life is. Sometimes you find the thing you want to do. Sometimes you find what you're going to do by looking at it from a different perspective. And that's why I think it's my purpose to give you an alternate or opposing narrative, because if you look at it this way still, it might not work for you. But if you look at it another way, it's like, oh, maybe I can take this route, or maybe this might work. You think you want to be a teacher, or there's many students that have come to my office and said that they want to work with children, and they think the only way to work with children is to be a teacher. Well, not really. You can be a social worker, a counselor. There's many other things you can do. And so I'm just really here to just help those see it from a different perspective. And I'm saying that I used my own faith to help me get to that point. So I hope I helped. That was it. I was really nervous. But yeah, if you have any questions.
Can we give another round of applause for the DeVon speakers?
Woo.
We're going to see if you guys have a few questions. Anyone have questions?
No, they don't.
About DeVon's story? Yeah, we got one in the back.
Do I need them?
What brought you to Villanova for your undergraduate education?
I didn't want to go to St. Joe's because it was literally around the corner. I grew up in West Philly, born and raised. Playground is where I spent most of my days, chilling outside. Fun fact, he lived behind me, actually. Fun fact, literally. So it's like my house is Conley Center, and his house is, what's this place called? St. Core. Isn't that cool? But anyway. So I went to Archbishop Carroll, which was down the road, and I was on my way to Bloomsburg, actually, Bloomsburg University, because it was 45 minutes from Wilkes-Barre, PA, where my family is from, Scranton area, Wilkes-Barre area, and I was on my way there, paid the thing and everything, bags packed, sweatshirt on, and I got a letter from Villanova saying I've been accepted. I'm like, oh, wow. So this was a school I thought I couldn't get into, because I applied to all state schools and then a school I couldn't get into. My SATs were horrible, but my grades were great. So I'm not a good test taker. So that played a role. But then, so that's what made me come here, because it reminded me of my high school time. And I was like, why, it seems weird to just, let's go to the place that reminds you of high school. We want to go something different, but yeah. And I thought it was a good opportunity for me to come here than Bloomsburg.
Any other questions?
Oh, yeah. She asked if those beginning things, those three things I talked about, if they didn't happen, would it have played out in my life? Results? I believe so, but again, I believe they would have. But I think in the end, all things work together. I think those specific moments were specifically for me to learn and develop as a person. I just really believe that things will work out. Like I'm just that way. There's certain things. There's a time for everything. You know, like for instance, I think a lot of people play on fear and worry. You know, like so now we have chips on your credit cards now. They're going to think of they already have people who know how to use that to steal your identity. Oh my God, what am I going to do now? Like, okay, let's figure something out. Like, I'm not worried about that. Like, you know what I mean? That's probably something simple, but I'm trying to give you an example, but it'll all work out. I just feel like it'll all work out. Like, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to spend my energy worrying about it. I can spend my energy worrying and stressing, or I can move on to the next. You know what I mean? God forbid, JJ, you can close your ears, I lose my job. So, you know what I mean? God forbid, I lose my job. Like, am I going to be upset about it? Yeah, I'll be upset, but I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I'm not going to spend my time worrying about, I lost my job. Okay, on to the next. Like, I got to do something to prepare. I don't spend time worrying because if you spend time worrying, you're losing time or wasting time kind of progressing, if you will. So, yeah. So it would have played out anyway, some other way, shape, or form. Oh, I'm like, where? Talia.
I guess my question is, okay. I guess my question is, what is your advice for people that, like, things aren't really, like, going their way, like, they aren't having these instances where they're, like, praying and things are going right for them, and they're, like, struggling to, like, find something to believe in, I guess?
That's where faith comes in, I believe. That's why I said trust in your relationships as well. Because I know everyone doesn't believe what I believe. So I think that's where I said looking at it from a different perspective is key. But you can only get that perspective from having relationships from other people or relationship with other people. So I think for folks that do not have that, I guess, belief system or that kind of direction, I think the best thing to do is to tap into your resources. So that's your teachers, your professors, your parents, the people that have been where you have been. Nothing new under the sun. We have so many seasoned people that have been where you have been or anyone has been. So I think it'd be good to tap into that kind of relationship, go that route, because they can give you advice or give you a different perspective that you haven't thought of. Because if you are going through something and it's just you by yourself, it's obvious that you can't see another way out. So what do? You can step out on faith and do something you've never done before. That may be connecting with somebody else. That may be reading this book. That may be believing in this. That may be not doing this. So I think tapping into your resources is something that you can do if you don't see a way out. If you don't, there is a way out. You just have to have faith that there is a way out. Yes.
Okay. I don't know about other people, but I feel like you're making this all sound so easy. And I want to know, like, how you're making this sound so easy. Like, when you're giving us those, like, 3 points, you're like, I just set it aside, and it was good, and I just trusted. Like, how do you do that?
Because I think that's what faith is. It's like a trust fall. It's you just got to believe. You have to trust that you will be caught. The right phrase? Caught? Catched? You graduated from Villanova. Caught. You have to trust that it's there. The example I have is we did a training for the challenge course, and it was myself and Amy Rockwell, and JJ was the person to fall back. And I was standing there, all right, you ready to fall? We were saying little things, ready, catching, and I'm ready to fall. And he was literally just doing this, and he was falling, and I was catching him every time. So he was trusting me that I would catch him. Like he wasn't doing this, like he wasn't looking back. He was just trusting his partner that he would be caught. And I think that's what it sounds so easy for me because I have experience trusting. So you have to step out on faith. So if we go back to, again, Indiana Jones, please watch the movie so you understand what I'm talking about. So if we go back to that, he didn't know what was happening. So he just lifted his foot up and he just stepped out there. He's like, all right, I'm just going to have faith. Because that's what faith is. I'm not telling you what to believe in or who, or I'm just saying have faith in something. This is how I kind of maneuvered my spirituality up until this point, and I continue to move it. It's by trusting. I decided to trust in God. Other people trust in their family. Other people trust in their friends. Other people trust in other things, good and bad. You know, sometimes you trust in something and it's not what you need to be trusting in. But I don't mean to make it sound easy. I think it is easier said than done, but I think it's also easier done than said too. Like, I think it's both, because that vulnerability, like I trusted that this would go well. I say I was nervous because I've never spoken from this side for fear of what people are going to think. Oh, you believe in the Bible, or that means you don't like gay people, or that means you believe this. That's not what that means. So I don't come from that perspective because of the possible scrutiny I'm going to get, or people are going to look at me because you know my character, but you heard what I say, so now it doesn't match type stuff. That's why it was vulnerable for me to do this. I'm very vulnerable right now. So you saw me sweating up here. I don't know if anyone has seen me. I know Brian was telling me, I've never seen you like this before. He's seen me in vulnerable and uncomfortable states, but like I'm very vulnerable right now. And so I trusted that this is what he gave me to talk about. This is what it came out of my heart. And so I trust that someone will be, if it's just one person in this room that learned or got something from what I talked about, that's enough, I guess, for me. But so I didn't know how this was going to go. Tomorrow, people are like, oh, he was horrible. You know, you shouldn't have picked him. You know, it could well go. They can get critiques about that. I don't know. And so that vulnerability, that I don't know piece is like, what are they going to think of me now? Like, you know, seeing me on campus, you know, I'm not afraid, but I'm like nervous about, you know, it's like, okay, I'm very self-conscious. That's the word. I'm very self-conscious now, whereas before I wasn't. But now I'm like this, okay, you know a little piece of me, so yeah. I don't know if that answers your question, but it seems easy, but it's also hard. But it seemed hard, but it's also easy.
Has your faith always been this strong, or have you ever had an experience where your faith wavered?
Yes, I do have those moments. I have them a lot. And my response is, I guess that's not for me. So there is this perfect house that me and my wife, right now me and my wife are living with her mother, my mother-in-law, because we're trying to save money for a house and all that type stuff. And so there was perfect stuff that was, you know, all right, God, this is the house we want. Great. You go in there and it's like the Fixer Upper. Anybody watch HGTV? It's my favorite channel. Oh my God. I love that channel. So, or House Hunters, you go in there, this is the one, cool. We go back and say, all right, you know, this is it. We pray, our God, this is what it is. And we find out, sorry, somebody else got it, or this is not, you can't afford this, or whatever. Something like this. Okay, I guess that's not for me. It's just not for me. Or I wanted this car, or I've been trying to get my doctorate degree for I should be probably 2 years into my doctorate degree right now. But life happens and things of that nature. And I prayed, all right, God, I want to get my doctorate degree. Just like I prayed for a master's, still didn't happen. Now, is that what he wants me to, is that what God wants me to have? I don't know. It's what I want to have. So if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, you know, So yes, there are moments where she asked if there are times where I've had the faith for something and I didn't get it. Sorry, I didn't repeat the question. And there are times, so in those moments, I just say, maybe that's just not for me.
We want to thank you again, and
I'll stick around if anyone has any more questions.